Hi everyone and welcome to Inderes TV. Today we're going to talk about Nokia with Analyst Atte Riikola. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Nokia, I was thinking about we should make this video kind of short and like a Nokia for dummies kind of thing, with digging into the company shortly but clearly. I'm going to use the words of my father, who said, do they even make phones anymore? What it's all about, Nokia today? What's Nokia today? What do they do?
Yeah. Nokia is not anymore a mobile phone company, but still they're licensing the Nokia brand for the AMD Global, who is making those Nokia phones, which you can see on some stores. But nowadays Nokia is purely like network infrastructure company, so they're like providing network equipment and software for like telecom operators and enterprises and some hyperscalers, for example Google, Microsoft, etc. That kind of companies to basically build all the critical networks that are
connecting people with true
networks. It's still like the slogan "connecting people" is still pretty good, because Nokia is like building the digital society nowadays with the networks. That is like nowadays probably everybody has heard about 5G networks and maybe fixed broadband networks that you're using with your laptop. Those might be like built with Nokia's products and software.
And they have 4 different business units that go under different names. Could you open up that a bit, what they do?
Yeah, there's basically four business groups. First, the biggest one is the mobile networks. So basically
the 5G.
5G nowadays. And of course all the other Gs from the history are also there. And basically that accounts roughly half of the Nokia's revenues. So basically approximately 10 billion euros.
Yeah, that's the biggest one.
And that's the biggest one. And from it's now like it's been a couple of years like in the turnaround mode, and now the profitability is improving there because they have invested pretty heavily in the R&D. So that's the biggest unit. Then there is the network infrastructure. So basically there are all the critical networks, for example fixed networks, for example fiber networks, or
so this is where it differs from the 5G. It's the fiber and
and then they're like IP networks, optical networks, and also the smaller one is like submarine networks, so under the sea going big network cables. So that's like a like Nokia's best performing unit at this moment. They have a highly competitive product portfolio there, and it's already making nice profits. So that's like the.
But who are the customers there?
Well, basically there's also the telecom operators are like the biggest part of the customer base there, because they're also of course offering the fixed networks for all the people.
Yeah.
And then the third unit is the cloud and network services, and there is basically the Nokia's software business and some services. So when you're basically providing the whole 5G network, it's not enough that you have the equipment, but you still need like software that runs the networks, and how the operators can like monetize the network or see the analytics from the network. So there's like that kind of software and offering. So
the two you mentioned before, they are benefiting from this one, like providing the software so that the other stuff can work.
Yeah, it's like, for example, there's those core networks. That's a lot like the heart of the, for example, 5G network. Without the core, it's not working, basically. So there's that kind of stuff, and basically also that unit is also still this year in a turnaround mode. The profitability is pretty low, and there's like Nokia is shifting the investments in the growth areas and taking investments out of some other areas. So there is still like some restructuring going on, but in the longer term, that because there is like lots of software business, the profit potential is pretty nice also there.
And then we have the last one.
Yeah.
There are where all the patents go.
Yeah. The Nokia Technologies is the fourth unit, and there is basically they're managing the Nokia's large patent portfolio. So it's about that and monetizing those patents, and there is many thousands of patents, and it's generating like roughly 1.5 billion euros annual turnover, and the EBIT margin is really high. They're aiming for over 75% EBIT margin. It's almost per profit, and
it's highly profitable. And the business model, is it licensing or how does it work?
Yeah. Basically it's licensing. So for example, nowadays if any mobile phone maker wants to make phones, they probably have to like license some of those patents that Nokia has invented in the history, that they can make those phones, and Nokia is like then making money out of those deals.
Yeah.
So there's like all the big technology companies basically are Nokia's customers on that segment.
Yeah. So what are the competitors if you look at the 4 units as a whole and the patent portfolio? Is Nokia the leading or with the patents or?
Yeah, basically if you look at the competitive landscape, of course there's like any more left like a couple of those big network infrastructure players, for example Huawei and ZTE from China, and then in the Western markets, of course, the Nokia's biggest rival is from our neighbor country Sweden, the Ericsson, of course. So there's like those are the biggest players and account like the lion's share of the whole market. Then there's like the smaller ones in the network side are, for example, Samsung, and then of course if you look at the software business, there's like a really wide range of different kind of competitors, basically lots of global software vendors, for example, and of course then all those network companies also have own products there, so it's very wide range of competitors.
Yeah. So we all know the rise and fall of Nokia in the past, and they have kind of done these rise and falls over and over again, and now kind of climbing back to the top, could one say? Or from an investor's point of view, what's the story? You're mentioning at least 2 or 4 turnarounds going on at the moment, or how would you explain this to a 5-year-old?
Yeah, it's always hard to tell it for a 5-year-old, but if you look at the past couple of years, when it was actually almost like 2 years ago when Pekka Lundmark started as a CEO of Nokia, they announced this new strategy, because when we go back 2 years, it looks like Nokia, especially the mobile network unit, was not in that good shape. It was like behind the competitors in product wise, and also if you look at the Nokia's operational model back then, it was
struggling.
Yeah, was struggling, and it was not that efficient. So there was like in the strategy there was like two main points where that they had to make the organization model more lean and get some cost savings, and at the same time invest much more heavier in the R&D, especially in the 5G products. And now Nokia has done that for like a couple of years, and we can see how the turnout is going now really well, because those investments are bearing fruits. For example, if you look at the mobile networks, the cost competitiveness has improved, because for example the customers are saying that again Nokia has catch up the competitions.
So you could say that they're on the same line.
They're now on the same line, so that's good. Now when we're heading onto the next phase of 5G cycle, there's gonna be still like 5G advanced and that kind of stuff. So now Nokia is in technology wise in line with competitors, and at the same time if you look at the Nokia's gross margin, it has improved quite significantly in the past couple of years. So that tells us that the product competitiveness in that wise is also improving.
Going in the right direction.
And at the same time, if you look at the whole groups like EBIT margin, there's been those cost savings and the operations have become more efficient. So there's been also pretty nice improvement. So everything is going in the right direction. And still, now there was like the last year, 2021 was the reset phase when those biggest investments and restructurings were made, and now the strategy in the acceleration pace. So they're like trying to get into the profitable growth path now.
Yeah. So and we have really seen some signs of that might be even be working the growth goals that they have been setting as well.
Yeah. Now, for example, for this year, Nokia is basically guiding the EBIT margin will be somewhere around 12%, and their long-term target for it's like 3 to 5 year target. They want to achieve over 14%.
Yeah. And do you think it's doable?
EBIT margin. Yeah, basically it is if they manage to continue the turnaround in mobile networks and cloud and network services, because they both units still have like lots of room to improve the profitability. For example, the mobile networks long-term target is over 10% EBIT margin. Now it's still way below that, so there's like room to improve.
If you think about the risks at the moment, you see the turnaround and you see the signs of that they have been catching up, but there's still some dark clouds on the horizon with the inflation and components shortage.
Yeah. If you look at the Nokia strategy perspective, it's going well, and there should be some profitability improvement. But at the same time, if you look at the market, there's like you said, the cost inflation and the supply chain shortages are in the short term burdening the profitability. So it's a little bit uncertain how much Nokia can improve its profitability. For example, in the next year, there's like still uncertainty.
Still uncertain, but for the long term, you're seeing it's another way.
Yeah, they're aiming for that over 14% EBIT margin. So it is achievable if they manage to like still improve the profitability in mobile networks and the cloud and network services, because those units have the most still room to improve.
Yeah, the pressure is on. But how would you say the valuation looks at the moment, and what's the recommendation?
Yeah, well, if you look at the valuation, the Nokia looks like a classic value stock, like pretty low earnings-based multiples. I think if you look at this year's, I think Nokia, our estimate is, and Nokia's guidance is that they're going to make approximately like 3 billion euros adjusted EBIT. So with that level, the price earnings ratio is somewhere between 12, and when we take account the Nokia's quite strong net cash position, the EV/EBIT multiple is somewhere a little bit over 7, I think, at this moment. So not very high multiples when we take account that in the midterm Nokia still has like the option to still improve the profitability. So there is like some earnings growth potential left. So in that perspective, the valuation looks pretty modest. And also, if we look at the sum of the parts of the Nokia's different business units, that give value those separately still, and if we assume that the strategy execution goes well also in the future, you can also draw like there's quite nice expected return for the next couple of years if everything goes well.
And compared to the competitors?
And well, the whole sector is quite modestly valued at the moment. For example, Ericsson, they have their own problems at the moment, but it's still trading below Nokia. So that I think that's also burdening somewhat Nokia's valuation as well. But if you look at the, for example, historical averages or that, so both companies are trading below that, and if for example, at this moment, the market sentiment is also quite bearish. So if we assume that we go like 1 year forward and assume that at this moment we see lots of risk, if some of those have faded away, then I think there's like pretty nice upside still left at Nokia share at this valuation. But at the same time, we have to remember that if you look at the long-term growth opportunities in Nokia's markets, it's quite stable. So in the longer term, the earnings growth potential is quite low. So you can't justify like really high multiples for Nokia. So it has like the biggest upside in the midterm is coming if the strategy execution goes well. But in the longer term, I think there's not so much room to like stretch those multiples.
Yeah. Thank you, Atte Riikola, so much for your comments, and a written research report. You can find the link below.